welcome to the 54th edition of Beer Issues. My name is Matt Bruckert, and we're coming to you with another great Christmas ale, the Bell's Christmas Ale, which is a traditional Scottish ale, or also called a wee heavy. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to pop this beer. Now this beer this year is rated an 87 out of 100, which makes it a very good beer. So I'm really excited about this. Now in 2016, this beer was just good. And they revamped it and took it from 5.5% alcohol. And now in 17 they re-released the beer at 7.5% alcohol. And the ratings jumped from 82 to 87. So obviously they did something right by bumping up that alcohol content. Now a Scotch ale ranges between 6.5% and 10% typically for that beer. Now as you see this beer, it's a nice reddish brown color. Traditional Scottish ales will typically have some sort of caramel flavoring in it, maybe a toffee and spices. So let's go ahead and smell this. Oh yeah, right off the bat, I do smell the caramel, which is right, I mean, just instantly. And maybe it might have some molasses in there, which are very tasty. Now, Scotch ales are malt forward, so they're going to be a very malty beer, not hoppy at all. So I'm going to go ahead and sample this. Oh yeah, that's a really nice beer. Now I taste in there, I taste some toffee, some molasses, I'm almost certain of it, and some dry fruit. Now sometimes the Scotch ales will have almost like a smoky flavor to it. I don't really get a lot of smoke in this. Sometimes even like a peaty type of flavor in there. I'm not getting that. Now one thing I wanted to talk about, since we're talking about Scotch ales, and I don't think we've actually reviewed a Scotch ale, but there's a couple of things people may or may not know about Scotch ales. The difference between a Scottish ale and a Scotch ale. Many people might think that a Scottish ale is just another term for a Scotch ale, but in actuality, they're quite different types of beer. A Scottish ale is a much, much lighter ale, to the point that they start usually at about 2.5% alcohol and will go up to about 5% alcohol. So that's a Scottish ale. Now a Scotch ale, completely different, usually will start at about a 6.5% and can go all the way up to a 10% alcohol by volume. So they're two completely different scales of beer. I myself, who tend to like the little bit more flavor, tend to prefer a Scotch ale over a Scottish ale. But it really depends on the time of the year and your particular taste. So don't take my word for it. Try them both to make sure that you know which one you like, okay? Now, if you've enjoyed this, make sure you tell your friends. Make sure they tell your friends. And make sure they subscribe. As you can see, I'm once again wearing this beautiful shirt, this Beer Issue shirt, and I'm sure everybody's going to want one. So make sure you notify me if you want to get on the list to order a t-shirt, and I'll make sure that we get you on the list for our next order. We're not mass producing these things, so it's going to be on a limited basis in the first. Then one day when we're gigantic and we have, we're selling 10,000 shirts a day, then we'll order them in mass quantities. But until then, it's going to be a nice small thing. Now, make sure you tell your friends. And, as my wife likes to say, I have beer issues.